guys, it's Rhonda. Thanks again for joining me for another process video. This is another 12 by 12 layout that is going to go in my Teton Yellowstone album. And this is from an area on the east side of the park called the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. And these were two pictures that I took of the upper and the lower falls in that area. So what I decided to do for this layout was do kind of a monochromatic theme to this. I haven't done a monochromatic layout in ages, and I kind of felt like this one would be a good one to do that with. So the pictures that I took were beautiful, but the sun was a little harsh that morning, and it kind of washed out. If I would have left it in color, it kind of washed out the pictures a little bit. So I decided to play with them a little bit in Photoshop and turn them black and white and just kind of played with them a little bit. And I like the way that turned out. I think they look better than if I would have left them in color. So that was kind of the inspiration for me doing a gray and black monochromatic layout here. So I went ahead and printed these. These are, I believe they're 2 4x6s. So I'm going to layer these on this side, and then you'll see me take them back off. So I decided that I wanted to move them over a little bit to the right-hand side, just so I had some more room for embellishing and that kind of thing on the left-hand side. Now the paper that I'm using, I think I showed it at the very beginning, that gray wood grain paper is from Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby. And I think that the black gray wood grain black background paper is from Hobby Lobby as well. I just thought that they worked really well. I was going to leave it just the wood grain, the gray wood grain, but I decided to go ahead and trim it down a little bit and mount it on that gray and black paper. One thing that I like to do once I've committed to a color scheme for a layout is go through my embellishments and pull out things that I think might work on that particular layout. So that is what I've done up here. So you can see I've got a little bit of stash there that I'm pulling from to layer these embellishments up at the top corner. Now I went ahead and pulled out these pine cones as well. Now they're not gray and they're not black, but I think they work together really well with this particular layout. There are a lot of pine trees in the photos, even though it's kind of hard to tell because they're in black and white, but they just really kind of work with this layout. So what I'm doing right now is pulling up this paper strip because, as I mentioned before, I want to move this entire layout a little bit to the right. So I'm going to start taking everything off. So those word strips there that you see me pulling off of there actually come from a 12 by 12 sheet of paper from the Kaiser Craft Fallen Leaves collection. So what I did was just kind of looked at the paper and figured out what 2 rows of words I wanted to include on this layout, and then I just trimmed it down. So I'm going to play with these photos just a little bit and get them how I want them. I do like the fact that they're overlapping a little bit rather than leaving them just going straight up and down. When I put the word strip back down on here, I'm very conscious of the fact that I want to cover up where those two photos come together at the bottom. So I wanted to make sure that that was covered by that word strip. Then I'm going to take that little phrase box there and add that back underneath there, kind of tuck it underneath my photos and tuck it underneath the little word strip. And I like the way that that looks. So then I'm going to take this little scrap of tag that I have left. Again, it was something that I pulled from my stash of embellishments and just thought I would use it up. And I'm going to use it as a base for that little flower embellishment there. That is from, I believe it's from the Kaiser Craft Fallen Leaves. And I've been wanting to use that on so many different layouts. We did see a lot of flowers that look like that, and I keep thinking this will be the layout that I use them on, and I have yet to use them, so I thought I would just use them on this layout, which has none of those flowers in it. So sometimes my rhymes and reasons don't make any sense, but I like the way it came together. So I'm just going to move around these pieces and figure out exactly where I want them to end up. Now this layout for me was a little bit different in the fact that there's not a lot of embellishment on there. If you've watched my videos before, you will know that I love to embellish. I love playing with paper and scraps and layering things and tucking things in. And this one had very, very few elements on it. So for me, that was quite different. So I do think that on the left-hand side there, that side is pretty much done. I think I add a little word strip to it later, but other than that, that side is pretty much done. done. I'm going to go back up to the top here and work on that area. So really it's going to be a matter of just layering those 2 tags with some pine cones, and then that corner is pretty much done as well. So again, super simple, super easy, not a lot of pieces at all to these clusters. So I've gone ahead and pulled out my Tim Holtz little book of words, and I pull one out that says memory, and I go ahead and add it to that cluster on the left hand side. Just play around, try to find a good spot for it. You'll see me use these tweezers quite often. If someone were to ask me what my absolute favorite scrapbooking tool is that I could not live without, it is those tweezers. I've used them to the point where they normally have like a little grippy handle on them. I've had them for so long and I've used them so many times that the grippy part has come off. But that is one of my absolute go-to favorite tools of all time. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn my attention towards the title, which is just simply going to be Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. I am using the wax paper trick just to kind of line up my letters because the title is rather big. I just want to make sure that everything's going to fit before I actually commit to laying it down. So I'm just taking these letters, and these are some gray letters that I believe came from an old Hip Kit club kit that I received a long time ago. But the letters are perfect, and you know how hard it is to try and find a set that has all of the letters that you need. So I went ahead and used those letters to do Grand Canyon and Yellowstone. And then I've got some, I believe the letters that I used for the were part of a Ellie Studio typewriter font. And so I use those just to kind of, so the title wouldn't be so incredibly big. So this will pretty much actually complete this layout. I'm just going to adjust these letters a little bit and make sure they all look good. I do decide to pull out some twine. This is some old Michael's Halloween twine that I've had for a long time, and I'm going to add it to that today tag, and that is pretty much going to complete this layout. So thanks again for joining me today, you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. If you found some inspiration, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time for another video. Bye-bye.